Hello, welcome into my Launch Your Next Model presentation program. I'm really excited to get into this with you guys. I hope there's a lot of good, juicy information that you're going to take well to. I'm so excited to give this because it's something I've been applying in my own life as well. So hopefully, you're going to gain some great knowledge that you can move into this next exciting chapter of your life in. All right, so let's get started. Firstly, what is this program for? This program is meant for you if there are something about your life right now that you know is not working. There's something in your life that doesn't feel aligned to you. You feel like you could improve and that can fit more with what your soul is really craving for you. This is also for you if you can sense that there is that part of you that is really longing for expansion right now. Typically, when you are ready for this expansion, you can see the signs. Like you have this new calling, this new interest in something that you've never really paid much attention to. Maybe you feel like there's just a message you have that you really want to get out, and yet there's some resistance that you're feeling. This is also for you if you are feeling motivated for this change and you feel like you can do the inspired actions as necessary. Are you feeling in your soul and your heart this calling right now? This motivation, this readiness to become this next version of you. What we're looking for here is also you need to have that ability to release this old current version of you. This is a process. This isn't something that people can typically do overnight. I mean, you definitely can decide that you want to leave the old version behind. But don't be hard on yourself if this is something that takes practice. I know for myself, when it comes to leaving behind an old identity, it takes consistent repetition of being able to accept moving forward and leaving behind a part of yourself that you no longer resonate with. All right, what is this presentation going to consist of? What we're going to do is first step, we're going to get clear on where you are now, right? If you want to be able to know where you are going, you first need to know where you are now. So we're going to do a little life assessment and take a look at where we currently are and take a look at our results, what we have in our life right now, and see what parts of those are we willing to let go of and what do we want to move into next. The second part is establishing your values. This is going to play a part in why we're doing it, what you want to gain out of this, and just getting clear on what your vision is and who you want to become and why. Then the third part is the fun part where we actually get to design the model. So we're going to go through the process of creating this dream, idyllic version of yourself that you feel you are capable of becoming and you want to become. All right. Now, this is just a little about me section. I obviously you can see I didn't really fill it out because I didn't feel it was necessary. Why am I creating this? Simply because, as I mentioned earlier, I am also going through a similar process in my life of leaving behind an old identity. And I thought, if I'm going to be creating this version of myself and I'm going to have all this fun creating this, then why not share it with others who maybe want to do the same? All right, let's get into the first part. Building self-awareness and figuring out where you are now. We're going to look at your inner and your outer results. When it comes to your inner results, I want you to ask how you feel on the inside. How do you treat yourself on the inside? What does your inner world look like? This can look like what kind of beliefs you're having, what thinking patterns that you're having. What are the ways that you speak to yourself in your mind? What is your inner state of peace like? Stillness? Do you feel safe in your body? All of that good stuff. This could also bleed into habits and how you are treating yourself in your life. What levels of discipline do you have in your life? How are you taking care of yourself? What is your overall relationship to yourself? Now, your outer results, when you look around you, those are the outer results in the material sense. what is your relationships like? How do you feel about your career and your life? Are you where you want to be in life in general? Then the goal is, when it comes to self-awareness and just figuring out where you are right now, this is a good time to kind of pinpoint where in your life you feel like you're being small and where there's room for that expansion and improvement in your life. It's very important that we be honest in this section, not beat around the bush. The most honesty we have here is how we're going to generate the best results as we move forward. Okay, the next section is we're going to establish our values. This is where we get to decide why we want to become this next version of ourselves. How does transforming in this way serve you? What do you have to gain? And also, very importantly, what do you have to lose by not transforming? What's at stake here for you in your life if you don't move forward into this new version, higher version of yourself? Maybe you're still playing small, you know that there's something out there that's much better for you. Maybe you want to reconnect relationships with loved ones that you haven't been as close to as you want. There's plenty of reasons why you decided that now is the time and why you're ready. And then the final part that we talked about was designing your model. This is the fun part that we get to be a little more creative and exploratory on. And we're going to decide and figure out, who is she? Who is this highly expressed higher version of yourself? How does she behave? What does she believe about herself and the world? How does she move through the world? How does she feel overall? And what does she value and prioritize in her life? Now, I had a picture here that doesn't want to load for me, but once we've done those 3 points and we've designed our model and who we want to be, we're going to delve and reflect a little bit on what are some possible action steps and some daily habits that we can apply in our life in order to move through into that new version. With that, we're also going to develop a set of evidence that can help really guide us into knowing how successful, let's say, we are in implementing this new version of ourselves. So, what are some pieces of evidence that you've moved into her? We're going to talk about that a little bit more. All right, now that we've gone through what the 3 phases are and the goals of each phase, I'm going to give you a little example into how I personally applied these exercises into my life. Let me make sure my mic is on. Okay. So here is what I came up with. Where am I now? My inner and outer results. This is what I came up with when I was first beginning this process. So, where was I at the time? I was feeling very stressed. I felt like my nervous system was dysregulated. I felt like I was in fight or flight all the time. Just this overwhelming feeling of not being safe enough. I was having a lot of creative blocks. The things I wanted to create in my life, no matter how badly I wanted them to materialize, it felt like it just wasn't happening for me. Even though I tried so hard, I knew my effort, it just wasn't putting in what I wanted, and I wasn't creating from my heart in the way that I knew I was capable of. I was also hiding parts of myself in terms of dishonesty. Let's say in social situations, maybe there were times I wasn't really being myself. I was fitting into a mold of what I thought people expected me to be. And overall, my relationship with myself, it wasn't too bad, but it was still a little bit wounded. I found myself having less patience for myself in moments where I really needed that love. And outer results. So, what did my external world look like? I felt like I was taking the easy route in a lot of things. For example, when it came to cooking, there are periods in my life where I enjoyed cooking so much and I would spend hours and come up with these creative recipes. I found myself at this point just making very minimal effort, very quick meals, not putting that love into my food that I loved doing previously. Activities as well. What did I mean by activities? I'm trying to think. I feel like overall I just wasn't engaging in the things that I really cared about and that brought passion into my life. My relationship with others, as I mentioned previously, hiding parts of myself, being dishonest, I wasn't fully giving myself in my relationships like I usually would love to. My home life, I felt really stressed at home. Sometimes I felt anxious coming home. My health it was also not bad, I would say. I kind of started slacking off with exercising as much as I did before. So I wasn't taking as good care of myself and my physical health. And then in terms of work, like I mentioned, I was having a lot of creative blocks. I just wasn't putting in what I wanted to with my business, and I felt very unmotivated and not excited by the work I was producing. All right. So that was me being honest and taking a look at where I was in my life and really reflecting on parts of myself that I was dissatisfied with and wanted to see change in. My values. Why? Why her and why now? And I put it down to because I knew deep down, even when I was going through my ruts or my kind of just overall blah periods, I knew that I was capable of more. And I felt frustrated with myself because I knew I was capable of it, but I was not taking the action to actualize it. Also, because I am interested in creating my dream life. Who wouldn't want that? I have so many ideas of what I want my life to look like. And right now, or at now also, and at the time, it felt so far away from me and out of my reach. But I wanted to really close that gap and bring that together because I wanted to live that dream life. Also, in terms of impact, this was another value to me that was really important because I wanted to show others that positive change is possible for them too. I love being a positive influence for the people in my life. I love showing them the ways that I change because I notice that they also get inspired to change as well because they see it in me. They see how it's changed my life and they resonate with that and they want that for themselves as well. So I really love having that relationship of creating impact for other people. And this also goes into this last point that I put here, which was creating lasting change and supporting my family. Okay, next. This was my design, my model, what type of woman that I wanted to be. This was really fun and exciting for me. I feel like honestly, in all of these, I really only scratched the surface. I could go much deeper if I wanted to, but for the sake of time, let's just do the simple stuff. So, one priority that I had for myself was to live in the present moment. Because for me, this is ultimate freedom is being able to connect to that present moment, no longer living in the past because that just makes you depressed, no longer living in the future because that just makes you anxious. So I wanted that real sweet spot of real life, which was living in the present moment. I want to experience that as much as possible. I also wanted to be at peace. I wanted to feel whole and complete on my own, not needing to seek external sources of happiness, just being able to feel this peace and wholeness within myself first. I wanted to have a calm demeanor. I wanted to feel relaxed and at ease. This plays into how I mentioned earlier having a disrupted nervous system, feeling generally unsafe. So, that feeling of being relaxed and at ease, this was important to me. I always give my best in every moment. I'm living with intention, I'm taking risks, but at the same time, I want life to feel easy for me. When life feels hard, most of the time, it's because we're making it harder for ourselves. I have found that in times when in life when I felt I've been going through the most struggle, I had to take a look back and realize I was creating a lot of that struggle. So I want to let that go, and I want life to get to be easy because life gets to be easy if you decide it is. Okay. Next one is I want to feel magnetic, attract abundance with ease. I want to make the most of my day and make each day intentional, rich, and full of those fulfilling experiences. I want to be in creative overflow where I feel like my creativity and ideas are just pouring out of me. I want to wear clothes that make me feel beautiful, elegant, and confident. I want to eat foods that nourish my body because, our body is a temple, and I want to be able to move my body daily as well. Encourage that exercise. All right, so when we look at my model that I designed, notice most of it is feelings that I would feel on the inside. There's not a whole lot of mention of external or material things in my life. Those will be a side effect. Don't get me wrong. Those will come when you are able to embody all of um, these internal aspects that you want to increase and expand in your life. My next part, I just made a little fun vision board to, oh my God, none of the pictures are loading. That's so sad. I am that I am has loaded though. So that's probably saying something. And the reason I incorporated this into my vision board is because this goes back to feeling whole on my own, not needing external sources, just knowing I am my own source pretty much. Okay, now we're going to move into inspired action. I want these to not necessarily be so methodical, but more you can feel that you are ready to take those inspired actions because you are getting this calling from your heart or your soul telling you what steps to take. So, what I put for my inspired action is one, I want spontaneous action. I want to leave room for some spontaneity and magic throughout my day, not be super regiment and structured, because I want to be able to have that flow of listening to what my body is craving, knowing maybe it would be fun to do this. What am I really craving to do right now? I think spontaneous action makes life so fun and exciting. I want to listen more to my intuition, connect with my body again, listen to what my gut is telling me is the right move instead of mind and logic all the time. Excuse me. I want to be able to take more risks, step out of my comfort zone, do more things that scare me. Maybe we could start a conversation with a stranger. It's something simple like that. I also want to place my energy in places that will fill me back up instead of drain me. I want to be able to nourish my vessel. I mentioned this a bunch of times. Take care of myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, just so that I can be in this state where creative overflow takes over and where I can be creative and fulfilled in my life. I also want to give myself more love, fun, and play daily. And of course, grounding and meditation. I do this one daily, anyways, but I always like to add it anyway. So, all of these inspired actions, this is what my gut was telling me are things that I can do to help cultivate the mental space for me to shift into this new version of myself. What do we have next? Evidence and results. These are things that I felt would show me evidence that I have shifted, external results that will almost prove that I am the woman that I was writing about that I wanted to be. Okay, simply feeling happier and more confident overall, better sleep and more energy, spontaneous creative decisions. This goes back to my wanting to have more spontaneity. So, in times in my life when I feel the most nourished, the most full of love and excited, that's when I feel like I'm getting creative ideas like constantly all day long. Like I can't even write them down, they're just coming out of everywhere. Laughing out loud. This is another sign that I feel grounded and at peace in my life, is when I'm able to laugh out loud. New creative projects. I want to actualize new creative projects and put them out in the world, as well as taking action on new ideas and being disciplined. In the past, when I've been in my ruts or not feeling my best, I found that it would be so hard for me to take action. Even if I knew what I wanted to create, I would just stare at my computer or my notes or whatever it was I was working on, and it would not happen for the life of me. But I find when I am able to take action on my ideas, it's in a time in my life when I really care for myself and I'm in a good emotional state. Financial increase. I want to see that money flow in. Who wouldn't? It's so nice when you're acting from a place of abundance and you can get that feedback back from the world. Like, you put out the abundance, it comes back to you. I also want to be able to see new friends and opportunities come into my life, ones that are really aligned with the vision of myself. I want to create new recipes for dinner because I think that would be fun. And I want to be in that state where expansion feels more exciting or feels more aligned to me than stagnation. Because when you're in that rut in your low state, you just want to be stagnant. You don't feel like you have the motivation to move much. But when you are fulfilled and excited, then you are focused on expansion. Okay, so this was all of my stuff. Now I want to turn it back to you, and I want you to have something to work with so that you can implement the same fun little practice. Now remember, this isn't anything crazy or serious. Just think of it like a fun, creative little tool you can use to help design your next model, or whoever you're ready to step into. So for you guys, it's going to be journal time. Yay! I've created a little journal for you guys that follows a lot of the prompts of the steps that I laid forward in this PowerPoint, that you can look at and you can kind of delve and reflect on how you want to be able to implement this practice for yourself. So I have a free journal that I'm going to leave for you guys in the description, or a link somewhere for you guys. And the free one that I'm going to give you, it's probably like a 45-minute exercise depending on how much you want to write. I typically go into details when I write, and I write a lot, but you don't have to do that. You can just put some little notes. Like, you don't have to go too deep. In fact, it's better to just write whatever comes to mind, even if it's simple. You don't have to think too deep about it. Typically, the first thing that comes in our head is the thing that's the most true, that we need to see the most anyway. I also have, if you want, I have another journal that I made that's more extensive, longer journal that I've organized into a 30-day type of journal that you can work on and work through these steps if you want to go through it a bit slower. This one is not free. I'm going to link it as well. You can get that one. It's not anything crazy, but I like it. I'm using it myself personally. All of the stuff that I create for you guys, by the way, I use myself. So that's the good stuff. All right. Anyway, I I'm so looking forward to, if you guys do decide to do the journal, I would love to hear your feedback on how it went for you, any revelations you came up with. Even tell me a little bit about this dream woman that you've designed for yourself, and even further down the line, if you find you're embodying her more in your daily habits, please let me know. I'm so excited to see how you guys are continuously expanding and transforming in your own personal lives. And yeah, just please give me any feedback, anything you want to hear from me. I genuinely love hearing what you guys have to say, and big steps or breakthroughs that you've made in your life. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of this video. Again, just overall, I want to hear from you guys. But yeah, we're going to end it now, and I'll see and hear from you guys very soon. Thank you so much for being with me throughout this.